Okay, this is the fourth video of Freud. It will be the last video. Again, I hope you folks are going along quite well in your assignments and so forth, and you're not having any problems or big concerns, we'll say. You're getting in some fishing and some picnicking. I hope so, because we certainly want to do that along with the course, and June is one of the months for that. Well, we're going to talk in video 4D, as in dog, about the stages of development. We have the oral stage, the anal stage, the phallic stage, the latency period, and the maturity period. The oral stage refers to the erogenous zones that Freud talks about, and that is when pleasure is found like through the lips, and if maybe pleasure is denied through the lips, maybe a person will substitute that as an adult by excessive smoking or by smoking. The anal phase is the potty training phase, and this is kind of interesting because we've heard the term, or you probably have heard the term, they are anal. Depending on how they are treated during the anal stage, they can become individuals. When I say they, individuals can become very messy or very strict and orderly, depending on how they were trained. And it seems like during the anal stage, where parents are in such a big rush to potty train their children. I was in a bookstore one time and visiting with a couple. Their toddler was ready for potty training, they thought, and I asked them how old their toddler was, and the toddler was 13 months of age. And so they were going to buy books on how to potty train. I don't know whether that's early or not. I mean, this is up to you. This is subjective. I never did feel as though that we should force individuals into be potty trained, but train them, and they usually learn. And the old saying goes, I don't know if it's old saying or whose saying it is, but the saying goes, if they don't, or if they aren't potty trained, by the time they go to school, let the teacher do it. Nonetheless, that is just a saying, so don't hold me accountable for that. And that did not come from Freud either. Then we have the phallic stage. And this stage here is when either the girl or the boy wants to be with the parent of the opposite sex. And in the boy, it's called the Oedipus complex, wants to do away with the father and marry the mother. And then the father, or excuse me, not the father, but then the boy realizes that the opposite sex does not have any outward genitals, so they go through a castration complex, and they develop somewhat of a fear, saying, whoa, whoa, wait a minute. I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want to receive any castration or have my outward genitals cut off. So I better align myself with my father. The Electra complex is the same as the boy's Oedipus complex, but in reverse, wanting to be with the father and not the mother. And I might add this time, these stages could have gotten Freud into a lot of trouble, and they probably did. But anyway, during the Electra complex is when penis envy is developed by the girls. And then we go through the latency period, which is a period of very small interactions as far as sexual development is concerned. And then, of course, they hit the genital period, which is puberty, and you know what happens there. Just everything goes every direction. And then the maturity period, and that's when individuals grow up and are able to deal with their desires and wants. Another aspect of Freud is the dreams, and supposedly the dreams come through the amygdala. This is what individuals say. I'm not going to stand behind this and say this is exactly the way it is, but it is what individuals say. And we have the manifest, or the literal meaning, what's actually taking place in the dream. And then we have what we call the latent aspect of the dream, and this is the hidden meaning. In Freud's instance, an example was given. A woman drives around with her car and bumps into the back of other individuals when they're driving their car. So her car is driving into the back of other individuals' car, and that's the manifest. That's what was actually happening in the dream. And then Freud, the interpretation or the hidden meaning of this, was saying, well, you're not receiving sex, you want more sex, whatever it is, and so what you're doing is basically driving into the rear end of others and hoping that you'll be bumped in the rear end, for whatever that is worth. Whether it is ridiculous or whether it is actual, I don't know, but some of these concerns did get Freud into trouble. Then from that, we have what is called a Freudian slip. And a Freudian slip is basically this. An individual means to say one thing, but they say the opposite. Or they say something with an unintended meaning from where they started out. An example of this, we'll say that there's a large party, and the young man sees a young lady, and the young man wants to introduce himself to the young lady. So the young man walks over to the young lady and says, I don't believe that we have been properly seduced. So that is the concept of a Freudian slip. We recognize Freudian slips. We hear individuals say Freudian slips, and maybe at times we will even engage in some type of Freudian slip. This winds up our segment on Freud. We will be making references to Freud. There will be components and assignments, and you will see in lessons by the video where you should go in assignments and go ahead and post your assignment. Also, there will be forums, so be sure to watch the forums, and so you can go in and respond to the forum. Remember, I will say this before we part with this video. Make sure that your computer is set so you can watch the videos. Now, we've had a great deal of hackers on videos and so forth. So I hope that all of you can set it. If it's on Firefox, you'll have a shield in the upper left-hand corner. If you're in Chrome, you'll have a shield in the upper right-hand corner. And if you click on that shield, it will come down and it will explain to you what you should do so you can be enabled to watch the video. Now, having said this, I'm not quite sure what takes place on Internet Explorer. But having said this, you can go back to the Big Ten. You can call the help number at the Big Ten. And if you have problems with observing these videos, and they can go ahead and walk you through any concerns. And so the next theorist, there'll probably be one video to each theorist following this. Like I say, the reason that we spent time on Freud was not to promote Freud or not to demote Freud, either one, but merely to give you an understanding that will help with the meanings of the theorists as we go through and study them. So if you have any questions, ask me. Be sure to watch the videos, go on assignments, complete what is required in assignments, complete what is required in form. There's also in tests and measurements, or tests and quizzes, not tests and measurements, but tests and quizzes, you will have and there'll be a notification on this, but you'll have about 25 items, multiple choice items, to respond to concerning Freud. Any questions? Ask me. Do not hesitate. So until then, the next theorist that we're going to visit will be Alfred Adler, and then we'll go on to Jung, Erich Fromm, or Karen Horney, and then Erik Erikson, and that will take care then of the Neo-Freudians. Remember, this is the big force number 1. Big force number 2 is behaviorism. Big force number 3 is humanism. And we will be going to the electronic book and maybe reading, not maybe, but we'll be reading and responding to some theorists in your ebook or your electronic book. Any questions? I'm going to repeat. Please ask me. So until then, I'll see you at the video on Alfred Adler. Have a good evening or a good day or whatever time of the day it is. Thank you.